Shir. We're back with Sefer Melachim Alef, chapter 18, Perek Yud Chet. Last week there was no Shir, but 2 weeks ago I had a Shir with Rabbi Menachem Liebtag. Of course, great and wonderful to be able to learn with Rabbi Liebtag and to have some exploration of chapter 18. Also the themes of Eliyahu versus Achav. He entitled the Shir, who was the hero and who was the villain, and the idea that Achav was trying to portray Eliyahu as a villain, and that's actually their initial conversation. I want to be a little more granular, you could say, which is to say to move pasuk by pasuk and to see things inside. Moriv Rabbi Linyane Tanakh, Rabbi Liebtag, he likes to talk about broad themes and he'll connect the beginning and the end, and he's already up to Elisha versus Eliyahu. I'm much more locally focused. Let's try to understand a little bit about the psukim such as they are. Now, we're on hiatus for a bit, so a little bit of review is in order, at least of the part that we're up to, which is that Eliyahu Hanavi is already introduced to us as a man of mystery. Eliyahu Hatishbi, we call him, from the tribe of one Gemara, he's a Kohen. Another one, he's from Shevet Reuven. Another place from Shevet Gad. So Reuven and Gad both live Me'aver HaYarden. So that's the idea of Eliyahu Hatishbi Giladi, because the area of Gilad is the east bank of the Jordan. Eliyahu Hanavi, who lives on the lam. There's no other word for it. For 3 years, while there's a drought that he himself imposed, and one that involved after ravens stopped bringing him the food, Hashem telling him, you go live with Ishat Fatit, which is unrelated to France and related to one of the areas in the vicinity of Tyre and Sidon, Sor and Sidon, in what we today would call Lebanon. But that's also where Izebel heralded from. He's dependent on this woman. He helps this woman. And then the crisis of what happens with her son. Again, he seems to die. I mean, Ein bo neshama. By the way, I'll take a minute about this word, Ein bo neshama. In English, we would translate it colloquially as he has no soul. But the literal translation of the word neshama is neshima, is breath, right? Like nefesh also refers to the breathing faculty. That is, those two things are true at the same time. The point is that the neshima is intangible. Breath is an intangible aspect of a person that speaks to the animated nature of a person. Meaning, we associate with breathing with life, but it's not really tangible. It is what is held in the container of the body. We inhale, it fills the lungs. The ancients didn't know this by their own minds and scientifically, but we knew this traditionally to be the case for a long time till biology caught up, which is that breath ends up animating the entire body. It was only later that humanity figured out the translation, the conversion rather, of the oxygen into the bloodstream to be able to be pushed into all elements of the human body. From a spiritual perspective, we already knew that. So the neshima, pervades the body. Where is the neshima? Where's the breath? You're going to point to what exactly? The lungs is just the container that holds it. And the truth is, now that we have a better understanding, it goes to every cell in the body. So where's the neshima go? The breath? All over. Where's the neshama? It's all over. That's where the parallel is. And that's why the word Arim Nishamot refer to desolate cities in other places in Nach. They're desolate, like the breath is intangible. There's nothing you can touch. So that's what you have here as well. The notion that the boy was without neshama. It could mean literally he died, or it could be he had no breath left in him, meaning he was comatose, whatever it is. If something was wrong, very wrong with him. I'm not diagnosing, I'm just saying, it could be either way. And some people want to seize on like the fact that he had no neshama means that he had no breathing left. Aha, you see, the neshama is just a construct based on the idea of neshima, but it's not. Velochein. The idea of the neshama as the spiritual component of a person is related to the notion of neshima because both of them are intangible and all pervasive. You follow? But they're in different dimensions. The neshima is the breath that goes into a person. It's physical. It's molecules, atoms, etc. The neshama doesn't work that way. Eliyahu Navi restores neshamot. Right? He gives back the neshama to the one who's lost their neshama. And he's done this for this woman. And at the last line that she says to him in Pasuk Perak Yud Zayin, Pasuk Chavdal, page 431, the Koren Tanakh that I'm using, chapter 17, verse 24. Vatumar Isha Eliyahu, Ata ze yadati ki ish Elokim ata udvar Hashem beficha emet. Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of Hashem in your mouth is truth. It's a little bit of a strange thing to say. Huh? It's strange. But she didn't know before? What about the part where he said, when you take me in, Hashem told me to take, Hashem sent me to you, etc. Remember? And she says, I don't have anything. I can't take care of you. I can't take care of myself. We're starving. I have not enough to make one cake. It's me and my son. So what ends up happening? He says to her, don't worry. Hashem says, the kad hakemach, the flour, the receptacle, the kad, the receptacle of kemach will never be empty. Always get refilled. When it feels like the receptacle is empty, it will be refilled by Hashem. When the boy will lose his neshama, he'll get it back. Receptacle. So the idea that she follows through and she's sustained by this, the kad hakemach and the tzapachat Hashem, and also the oil, both of these things. Gidvar Hashem, asher diber bi Eliyahu. But how come over here, now it seems that it was authentic? I'm just posing this as a question, leaving it open-ended for now. I'm not going to answer it. Just like to sharpen the question, she said to Eliyahu, you know that now I know that you're a man of God. And I know now that what you say is true. She had some doubts. Remember, she said, doubts, but upset. She said to Eliyahu, why did you come here? You caused my son to die. Your greatness made my smallness, I use the term advisedly, more apparent in the eyes of Hashem. I was judged by a higher standard. I was found wanting at the bar. My son is punished. And what does Eliyahu do? He realizes that's an injustice. And in a certain way, it's wrong. So he's trying to save the child. Eliyahu Hanavi learns an important lesson here. Even though he's on a very high level spiritually, he may be associating with people who are on a lesser level. He doesn't want to inadvertently cause their death. He wants to keep them alive, but connected, etc. That's a segue into what happens in the next parak. I'm leaving the question just kind of hanging there for now. Like, why did she have to at the end say to him, "Now I know that you speak truth"? How come it wasn't apparent to her before? And why was this episode the episode that gave her the insight? I probably won't end up answering it today. Probably won't get to it till next week. So you have to come back. But let's go to this week's parak. Parak Yudchet. Vayihi yamim rabim. Udvar Shemaya Eliyahu b'shana shlishit lemor lech heira'eh el achav ve'etna matar al pnei ha'adama. Whose initiative? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem tells Eliyahu it's over. Eliyahu didn't decide. Hashem decided that it's going to end. Right? Go appear to Achav and tell him that I'm giving the rain. But there's a bit of a question. Wasn't the whole reason why Eliyahu had made this oath one parak earlier, in parak Yud Zayin Pasuk Alef, that he said there won't be any rain until I, Eliyahu, say so? Hashem told him, I say so. You're going to be the one to say it, so it comes out of your mouth, but I'm telling you. Worthy of consideration, right? Eliyahu Hanavi is being told by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you'll find a way to speak to him, to tell him that the rain is going to come. But what we find in Perek Yud Chet is that Eliyahu wants to use this opportunity to make it an object lesson. Everyone knows what's coming, the event on Har Carmel. But really what did Hashem initially tell him to do? Just go tell him it's going to rain. But Eliyahu understood that to be, there's one opportunity, if I could create a situation where everyone would see with their own eyes that everything I've been saying is true, and that on cue it will rain, then maybe I can bring the swing voters over to my side. That's how it happens at Eliyahu and Har Carmel. Because if you look carefully, we'll see Hashem doesn't tell him to do it. It's Eliyahu's initiative. It's because he knows the end game is Hashem's telling him, look, the time's up, 3 years passed. They didn't break. They didn't come calling you. Now you go find a way to do this in another way, to teach them. Right? What did Eliyahu think was going to happen? Eventually, Achav was going to find him, if he could find him, and he was going to do. They were going to do tshuva, and but that's not what happened. Pasuk bet. Vayelech Eliyahu lehiraot el Achav, v'harav chazak b'shomron. So Eliyahu was going to appear before Achav, to show himself to Achav, and the Ra'av is very strong in Shomron. Shomron, the region. Shomron, the city. Vayikra Achav el Ovadyahu. There's a scene change. Lahavdil, the camera, quote unquote, is focused on Eliyahu Navi, and then suddenly it's not. It's focused instead on, goes to Achav. So Vayikra Achav el Ovadyahu asher al habayit ve'Ovadyahu haya yarei et Hashem me'od. Ovadyahu, this is Ovadia Hanavi. He'll be known later, but here's Ovadyahu. He's in charge of the household, and he fears God very much. The Navi testifies. Vayhiba achrit Izevel et Nevi'ei Hashem. Vayikach Ovadyahu me'ah Nevi'im. Vayachbi'em 50 ish ba'me'ara v'chil kilam lechem v'mayim. So Izevel, we learn, was engaged in killing off all of the prophets. And Ovadyahu is hiding, he's harboring 100 of them, 50 in each of 2 caves. Vayomer Achav el Ovadyahu, lech ba'aretz el kol mayanei hamayim vel kol hanechalim, ulai nimtza chatzir unechayeh sus va'fered v'lo nachrit mehabehema. So Achav tells Ovadyahu, you go look to see if there are any streams, any fountains, right? A wellspring somewhere, any wadis. Go see, maybe we can find some grassland so that the horse and the mule will stay alive. And we won't be without animals. Vayechalku lahem et haaretz la'avor ba, Achav halach b'derech echad levado, v'Ovadyahu halach b'derech echad levado. So let me pause here for station identification. A couple of issues. What is going on here? Why is the king himself going by himself to go look for grazing land by himself? He's the king, and he's sending the other fellow. He says, "You go that way, I'll go this way." We're splitting up to go find some grassland. Question 1. Question 2. What are these animals? The treif animals. No one's eating these animals. The sus, the parrot. Huh? And if the Rav is so strong in verse pasuk bet, v'Ra'av chazak b'shomron, aren't there bigger problems than the problem of making sure that the horse and the mule can have food? How about the people? How about himself? Remember, there's a Rav, 3 years. So what? That it tells him, you go here, I'm going to go there. It's all very strange, yeah. So just to consider, and also we have this introduction to Ovadyahu, that he is here. He's not a navi; he's just a person who works for Achav. He's so I call the shir the man inside, because he's like some kind of a spy, because he works for Achav. He's in charge of the house. At the same time that he's in charge of the house, he's playing both sides, because he's hiding 100 Nevi'im in caves, in 2 different caves, so that they won't be found by Izevel. Keep your, what does it go? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So he's watching, when is Izevel sending out a death squad to go kill more Nevi'im? And he's hiding these people away. And he's somehow bringing them food, presumably. It says, so he brought them bread and water. The whole thing is just very, very strange. Very strange. And it makes it sound like Achav, who, by the way, is really Achav HaMelech, Melech Yisrael, has no one else to talk to except for this person, Ovadyahu, who happens to not be really on his side of things. He's surreptitiously keeping everybody going. Just, there's a lot there. Yeah. So that's right. Does he maybe need horses for an uprising? Because horses are military animals. You're not going to eat them, but you can use them for security or for prosecuting wars. The mule, the parrot, is used for the purpose of transporting tziyud for it's the 18-wheeler, but also in the army, it's to bring supplies to the front. Pack animal, but faster than donkeys, mules. So that's what he needs. And maybe if that's what he needs, who is he defending against? An uprising? Could be. Outside forces, outside countries who will realize that he's weak and come for him. So he's going to take care of defense, the defense portfolio. Could be. And maybe that would also explain why he needs to be just him and Ovadiah, and he can't send him to secret mission. And even though he's the king, he's going by himself because he doesn't want to let on to who that there's a problem. His own people. Otherwise, it's totally baffling. Like, what's he trying to get at? Where is he? What's he going to accomplish? To go by himself, and right. What's interesting also though is that, and stay with me here, Achav and Ovadiah are actually two sides of the conflict. As we'll see momentarily, Ovadiah is on the side of Eliyahu, because he's going to say, I'm your loyal servant, etc. But Ovadiah works formally for who? For Achav. And Achav is formally, and more than formally, married to Izebel. But the question is, can he be pushed away from Izebel in some way? What's going on there? So the other reason I call this Shir the man inside, because what's going on with Achav? So if you look in the source sheet, number one, Vayikra Achav, Achav called him. Vayikra Achav, why does it make a big tzimus that he called forward Ovadiah? Shegam Achav kvar sam al libo tzarat amo v'ro malalav. Even though Achav realized that the people are in dire straits, and he realized the wickedness of what he had perpetrated. V'kara Ovadiah v'hu haya yareh Hashem me'od li'ityaetz imo. He wanted counsel from Ovadiah. What should I do now? Yeah. V'siper sibat kriyato, it explains the reason why he called him. Why did he call him? V'gam lefi perushein ma shekatavnu asher al habayit, right? Shebiyamim ha'eleh shera onshe Hashem mana oto tzadik al beito leman yeh lo smach b'zchuto, right? So the idea that why did he put Ovadiah? Why does the Navi tell us that Ovadiah is a big tzaddik as part of the story? Well, partly it's foreshadowing what's coming when he's going to meet Eliyahu Navi. He's really on Eliyahu's side. It also explains why he's taking care of these Nevi'im. But there's another reason. Achav has an element of him that realizes if I put a big tzaddik in my household, maybe there'll be a merit that will come to me and my household. Achav, who's married to Izebel, who imported this whole culture of rank idolatry, is also concerned about the zchuyot of a tzaddik in his midst. Apparently, there's two sides to Achav. Shekol zeh haya ya'an shu yareh Hashem v'ratzah lihitlonein b'zchuto. Malbim says that basically Achav wants to sleep under the merit of Ovadiah. I don't have any merit, but maybe my association with a great tzaddik, Ovadiah, will enable you to give us a reprieve and give us some rain. In the last parak, Eliyahu being with the Ishat Tzorfatit brought her merit, but then also held her to judgment in her mind, and her son almost paid an ultimate price for it. And Eliyahu brings the child back to life. Next parak, Achav, realizing, according to the Malbim at least, that he needs Ovadiah in his inner circle to take counsel with him. But the reason why he wants to have him around is in a certain way to have a religious ornament. He wants a mezuzah hanging from the rear view mirror. He wants a Razil Hamalach in the glove compartment, a little booklet, a chamsa is hanging there. So he wants an Ovadiah to be with him. It's a big schus to have the big tzaddik there. The Gemara in Sanhedrin. Ktiv, it says, "Vayikra Achav el Ovadiah asher al habayit v'Ovadiah yireh Hashem me'od." My kamakra. what's the pasuk actually teaching us? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Le, he said to him, this is the statement. Yaakov ktiv nichashni v'rechinishim biglalecha. Lavan said, I divined, in the small sense of divined, I guessed. I knew that, where you were, I knew all about you, because Hashem has blessed me on your account. And when you, Yaakov, absconded, there was no longer a bracha. So now I realize, I know it's from you. But Yosef ktiv vayivarach Hashem et beit hamitzri biglal Yosef. In the house of Potiphar, right? Yeah. Beita deho gavra lohava bivrach. Shemelo yirei elokim ata. Yeah. But this house of this person, my house, Achav says, how's that unlike what happened in the house of Potiphar, what happened in the house of Lavan? I'm not getting any benefits from keeping you around. Maybe you're not as God-fearing as I thought you were. You should just be aware it wasn't because of him. The house of Achav is just not worthy of having a blessing. That's the problem. Amar Rabbi Abba, Gadol shenemar ba'Ovadyahu yoter mima shenemar ba'Avraham, di'ilu ba'Avraham lo ktiv me'od, u'ba'Ovadyahu ktiv me'od. It doesn't say me'od. Ki yirei Elokim ata, but not me'od. And for him it says me'od. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, mipnei ma zach Ovadyahu l'neviut, mipnei shehichbi me'at nevi'im ba'me'ara. He became a Navi because he hid 100 Nevi'im in the cave. Shenemar, Vahi ba'achrit Izevel Nevi Hashem, Vayikach Ovadyah, Mea Nevi'im, Vayichab'em Chamishim Ish Ba'me'ara. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. There were many Nevi'im at any given time in Jewish history. Only the famous ones who actually have Sfarim written about them or who get a speaking part in some moment in Tanakh are inscribed in the Navi. But it's not the limit to the number of Nevi'im who exist. Also, many of these Nevi'im, there's a difference between Nevi'im and B'nai Nevi'im. We'll see Elisha will have people with him in his circle, the B'nai Nevi'im. There's the aspiring Nevi'im, so they learn with him. They're Talmidim. They become Nevi'im. Some of them, some don't. So more to say on that, but not for now. Just to point it out in case someone's wondering, 100 Nevi'im? What kind of 100 Nevi'im are those? Okay, but that's how he became a Navi. He became a Navi because he took care of other Nevi'im. Maishna Chamishim Ish. Why say 50 and 50? 50 times 2. Why not say 100? Rabbi Lazar, Miyakov Lamach, Nemar Vayamachanani Shah Lifleita. Yeah, he learned it from Yaakov Avinu. Rabbi Abba, another idea, Fishain Me'ara Mechazaket Yotem Mechamishim. No cave could hold more than 50. But the point is, the other version, Rabbi Lazar, he learned it from Yaakov Avinu. He saw himself as a Yaakov, and he saw Achav as a Jew who was Esav-like. And therefore he sees himself as Yaakov-like. Note that here again, once again, just on the, what do you want to call it, on the Lahavdol Fe'avdol literary level, Lahavdol, there's again a splitting, 50 and 50, 2 caves, half and half. A lot of things here split in half. How come? So the 50 and 52 different caves, and the Gemara says, well, the reason is very simple. That from Yaakov Avinu, he split by Yachatz at a Machaneh. So that's what he did as well. If you look in the Maharsha in this Gemara, the Maharsha points out that there was no bracha coming to the house of Achav. Mitoch shehu Rasha, perish mitoch shehu Rasha. Vavgav delava nami Rasha haya v'chein Potifar. Zakunet Yosef l'mishkav zechur. Okay, so he took originally got Yosef in order to use him for untoward purposes. Nonetheless, the children of Lavan, namely Rachel and Leah, and also the daughter of Potiphar, according to the Midrashim, who maintain that that's who was married to, that the daughter of Potiphar is the one who's married, is Osnat bat Potifera, that's the same person. So there's some bracha that would come from their household. No bracha came from the household. No one's going to be left from the whole house. Okay. In Breshit Rabbah, the next slide over here, second to last source. Vayachatz Am limedcha haTorah derech eretz shlo yehei adam noten kol mamonu b'zavit echad mimi ata lamed miyakov. Don't put all your money in one basket. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Split it. Vayachatz Am v'cheinu omer v'achbiem chamishim ish b'me'ara v'omer im yavo esav el machaneh achad v'ikal. Elu achenu shebadarim. What did Yaakov Avinu say? If Esav will come and he'll strike them, means our brethren in the Darom, means those who live in the south. That's the people who live in Galus. Shebadarim, Eretz Yisrael, the Pleta, who's going to be left? The people in Galut. At a time when Esav is ascendant, split the people up. Okay, even though he added in, Rabbi Shai just goes in, even though the people left over, we have a Sherid HaPleita that's left over in Galut, they would fast for us on the Monday and the Thursday, meaning in the other community would fast. They're worried about what's going on in the other community. Okay, Malbim. Next source, Vayomer. He wanted the money, the Muslim, the food for his animals. Even if the people would not be worthy of getting the rain, what did the animals do wrong? Remember Book of Yonah? What about the animals? Yeah. It was at least part of the argument. The person who has free will is given over to having to reckon with reward and punishment. Shilahem breed kruta. They have a covenant. They have a certain covenant that they're not going to be cut off. The whole species is going to be cut off, from a place. That's the Malbim says at least. Okay, and therefore, matar gam al ha'adam hagam shnidon l'fiyamaz. Next page, fiyamazim, right? And therefore the rain will fall and it'll also benefit people. That's why he said, maybe we will find grassland and then we will live, as will the horses and the mules. We won't be less or worse than the animals. Through the life of the animals having to stay alive, because Hashem promises them that they will have some way to subsist, we'll also end up staying alive. Do you hear how Achav hedged? Ovadiah is a big tzaddik, therefore I want him in my midst, because maybe in his merit it'll be rain. And if not that way, then I'll remember the lowest forms, the animals, and in their merit, we'll get the rain. Ben kach u'ben kach, Achav saying, I'll be on both sides of things. I'll press all the buttons in the mechanistic machine, his view of God, mechanistic, which was exactly the way that was how Avodah Zarah functioned. You feed, you get back. It's a machine. That's the mechanistic view of the God, small Jew, Avodah Zarah. That's how it works. So he thinks he's going to do that also. I'll put the tzaddik over here. That'll be in my favor. I'll go with the animals over here. We'll press that button. And therefore, you understand. All right, we don't have to see more of the sources inside because I see we're a little over time. I don't want to do the whole thing now. I have more to say about Obadiah. But what do you find? Go back to the pshat now. Let's go back to the pshat. And you'll see, maybe it'll fall a little bit, right? I'm glossing over this part. We have to come back to it more about Ovadiah, but I'm making a certain point here. Pasuk Zion, the two of them have split, and it's not just literally that Achav went in one derech and Ovadiah went in another derech, on multiple levels. Pshat, they went different directions. The level of Medrash, they were going in a different direction. Yeah. Vayhi Ovadiah baderech, v'hinei Eliyahu likrato. Hashem told Eliyahu, go find Achav, but Eliyahu did not find Achav first. Who did he happen upon? Not an accident. Achav's representative, Ovadiah. Vayakireu, vayipol panav, v'yomer hatazeh Adoni Eliyahu. There's no cameras, so it's not like he had a picture of Eliyahu and he looked like. But are you Eliyahu? That's what the video asked. V'yomer lo ani. Lech emor ladonecha in Eliyahu. Go tell your master, behold, Eliyahu is coming, basically. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong that you're putting me in the hand, your servant, in the hand of Achav to kill me? Right? No one can find you. My master put everyone under oath in the whole Near East region that if anyone sees you, they have to report you immediately. No one can find you. Why are you putting me in the middle? Why are you making me be in the middle? You know, really, I'm on your side, but I have to keep up appearances with Achav. I'm going between the two sides. Excuse me. The Spirit of Hashem is going to pick you up and carry you somewhere else, whether it means literally or figuratively is not entirely clear, right? But people thought really that Eliyahu Navi was like teleporting himself all over the place because he was always appearing and disappearing so quickly. He's going to not find you. He's going to kill me for lying to him or deceiving me or think I'm in cahoots with you. Excuse me. I just want you to know I fear God from my youth. To all appearances, I'm on his side. But you know, Eliyahu, the truth, I'm on your side. But it looks like I'm playing both sides, but I'm not really, I'm really on your side. But nobody knows whose side I'm on. But you do. Hello, God laduni, ed asher asiti b'harogi zevel et Hashem, va'achbi m'nivei Hashem mea ish 50 ish b'ma'ara v'chal kalem lechem v'mayim. Yeah, you know that I took care of these Nevi'im, all the things happened with Zevel, etc. She's killing them off. I'm hiding them. Ata Omer, Lech Emor Ladonech in Eliyahu Haragani. If I go to tell him Eliyahu is coming, he's good, just going to kill me. In other words, why don't you just go find him yourself? Why are you putting me in the middle? Why are you forcing me to out myself, to openly identify whose team I'm on? As God lives, the God of hosts, I've stood before, I'm going to appear today. I'm glossing over this. We're going to go back and see it next week more in depth. But so Ovadiah comes toward Achav and he tells him, and Achav comes to greet Eliyahu to meet him. You're the one who makes the Jewish people odious, right? I don't know how does this try? Troubler. Yeah, labisheni means you made it bad for me from Parshat Vayishlach way back when. The accusations flying both back and forth. ונביאי בעל 450 ונביאי אשרה 400 אוכלי שולחן איזבל. So in other words, get everyone together. B'nai Yisrael, Bike puts in the Nevim Har Karm, everyone comes, right? Now look at Pasuk Chav Alef, and we're going to end here. Everybody's at this thing. Well, not the 100 prophets who are in the two different caves. They're hidden away. But everybody else seems to be there. Vayigash Eliyahu et kol ha'am. Vayomer, and he proclaims, what does he say with the opening of his speech? Ad matai atem poschim al shtei hasi'ipim. How long are you going to dance on both sides of the aisle? Im Hashem Elokim l'chu acharav, v'im haBaal l'chu acharav, v'lo anu ha'am oto davar. He asked them to choose between the two sides, like he was putting Ovadiah in the middle and asking him to choose between the two sides. And Ovadiah says, but I have chosen between the two sides. It's just there's an inside and an outside. And Eliyahu's point is, we have to end that dynamic. Go back to him and tell him in my name, I'm going to see him today. And that claim, that declaration, Ad matai atem poschim al shtei hasi'ipim, is not just to the whole Jewish people, but to a particular individual, the man inside, Achav. Do you want to be with the tzaddik, Ovadiah? Will you know there's something about him that's righteous? But it didn't work because he didn't get the bracha, because my house is not worthy of bracha. Or are you going to be with the animals? You're going to be with Izevel or with me? Choose. We can't keep dancing on both sides. And what ensues, of course, we mostly know how the story goes. We'll read it inside another time. We'll come back next week. I don't think dial back also at the beginning of the parak more in depth, but in terms of Ovadiah, there's more to fill out about his personality. Is Eliyahu Navi and his passion for truth is not living two truths, but one. And he's suing for it, and therefore he's pushing forward. I didn't answer the question about with the woman, the Isha and Eliyahu and all that. We'll come back to that another time. But just to think about what that means, that the whole announcement was geared toward all the different parties to tell them you cannot live a double life. You need to integrate it. And around Hashem, not, God forbid, Avodah Zarah. Okay, that's all I have time for today. It's a bit of an abridged shir, but next week, hopefully we're back at 9:30 for good reasons, for a bris, but still. And everyone have a great week. I'll see you, God willing, soon. All the best.